After having spent a week engaged in visual arts, I thought that I would share this PowerPoint entitled Going Beyond the Generic: Visual Arts in the Full-Day Kindergarten Program. This presentation was created by myself, Joanne Babalis, from transforming our classroom into a space of possibilities. One of the full-day kindergarten key messages is generic worksheets and art activities provide limited assessment information on the child's level of understanding. Young children have an innate need to make sense of the world. The arts in the full-day early learning kindergarten program provide a vehicle through which children can express their growing sense of self and their interpretation of the world. Here's an image of a child who's outdoors painting his interpretation of the world. Providing children with opportunities to express themselves through the arts develops decision-making skills, stimulates memory, facilitates understanding, develops symbolic communication, promotes sensory development, and encourages creative thinking. These three students all showed their creative expression in a variety of different ways. They all made decisions on how they would like to use loose parts, such as feathers, beads, rocks, and dried flowers, to make their own masterpiece. I find it fascinating how all three students used different surfaces for their art. One student created a sort of spiral on the floor. Another communicated that his castle was perfect on top of the wood, while the last wanted to glue hers on paper. Learning through the arts also fosters children's imagination, helps to develop empathy, promotes the development of relationships, builds self-esteem while enabling children to experience a sense of accomplishment. These students are marveling at the forest that they created. This was captured at the end of our tree contest project, where students researched a variety of trees from around the world. The arts strengthened their relationships and their sense of accomplishment. Children need to have ready access to a wide variety of materials, resources, and experiences that offer them different ways in which they can demonstrate their learning. These materials are high-quality art materials that I would gradually introduce to the students as they are needed for our learning. For instance, some charcoal, sketch pencils, fine-tip markers. They would not all be out on the first day, but slowly as they are needed and taught. The creative process is the focus of the arts, carefully planned experiences and organization of materials, tools, and processes. Here is an example of a student's process from the sketch to the good copy, and then of course the conversation that was had around their theories. Here is another example of the creative process. Starting from the left, going towards the right, the student created a drawing of a tree, then traced over the drawing with Sharpie marker, enlarged it using the overhead projector, traced that large drawing, painted it, cut it, displayed it, and had an opportunity to reflect upon the experience connected to her theories. It is important that young children see themselves as artists. Arts activities and experiences should be embedded in meaningful contexts in which children are thoroughly involved in the whole artistic process. This student was involved from the start, finding an image that she wanted to recreate from a calendar and then sharing that image that she made with her family. Here I wanted to highlight that the arts, specifically visual arts, are not only communicating with paint, sketch pencils, crayons, or pastels. It can move beyond that and be a hands-on experience using other materials on a light table. For instance, these children with magnets underneath a table. Students also express themselves on mirrors, while there's an example of a student who saw a tree that inspired her to make a painting. We can honor children as artists by displaying their work in some way that looks as professional as it would in an art gallery. Generic art activities, for example, having children work with pre-cut shapes, should not be used. They are rarely effective because their focus is narrow and they provide only limited assessment information on the child's level of understanding. Here are two examples of generic materials: pre-cut stencils or shapes of these animals, and worksheets on the other hand. Both examples do not provide students with the opportunity to think and be creative. This mirror, on the other hand, invites students to paint and create something different each time that they visit it. Children need time to imagine, create, and explore in a non-threatening environment where they know their individual choices and responses are respected and valued. Providing children with opportunities to express themselves through the arts supports their growing understanding in all areas of learning. Arts activities should be integrated not only to support the learning of expectations in other areas, but also to support the diverse learning styles, interests, and abilities of individual children. Here are some examples of ways you can support the diverse learning styles through technology, through the support of conversations around the visual arts, and hands-on experiences. Now we'll shift to ways you may engage your artists. Creative experiences. Here are some examples of creative experiences. Students may choose to engage with them according to their comfort levels. Each slide showcases a controlled palette of materials that encourage creative expression. The creative process is the focus. Graphic representations. Quality art materials for graphic representations may include painting, sketching, pastel drawings, Sharpie drawings, etc. Thinking and constructing. Hands-on construction materials may include pine cones, rocks, wooden blocks, tin cans, glass beads, tiles, magnets, etc. Clay creations may include creative structures and sculptures such as wire, beads, tissue paper, clay, paper plates, etc. And then, of course, there are collaborative art pieces where students are invited to add a trace of their learning using photographs as possible inspiration and other materials such as plasticine and/or wooden canvas. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoyed these samples of the creative process that can be tried with your own students. I appreciate the inspiration from the full-day early learning kindergarten program for which all quotes had been extracted from. Remember, creativity takes courage. Matisse.